This is Happily Holistic, where we dive deeply into everything health and wellness with a big dash of spirituality and a sprinkle of business. We spotlight the uplifting and the positive and share the secret ways top wellness authors and celebrities get inspired, stay healthy, and enjoy this beautiful life. I'm your host, Amy Lee Mercury, best-selling author of 15 books and holistic health expert for the last 19 years. I can't wait to get happily holistic with you today. Hello. Welcome to Happily Holistic, my new podcast. I'm Amy Lee Mercury, and I am so excited today. I have one of my closest friends, Deganit Nuur, joining me. Welcome, Deganit.
Hi, Amy. I love you, and I love that you're doing this, and I'm so excited to be here.
Yay, I love you. And Deganit is joined by Bentley Fortissimus, her cute little doggy, who has his own Instagram, by the way. I love your Instagram too. Deganit's Instagram is awesome, but I do enjoy Bentley's. Oh, he's waving. What a good boy. So Deganit is actually Dr. Deganit. She is a world-renowned spiritual teacher, big time, clairvoyant, doctor of acupuncture, writer, and lecturer. She's a spectacular lecturer. We have been on the same stage together before. She has been named one of the top 15 intuitives globally by Gwyneth Paltrow's publication Goop. Deganit has been featured in the New York Times, Vanity Fair, Vogue, and Forbes, amongst others.
Tongue twister.
She has created and she teaches the revolutionary Nirvana method, which is based upon traditional Eastern philosophy that seeks to integrate mind, body, and spirit. She has the Nuit School, which is an online course designed to help you heal you. She's got so many amazing things going on. Deganit's Instagram handle is Nirvana, and so Nur is N-U-U-R Vana. And then, so Deganit Nuur, and then Nirvana, N-U-U-R-V-A-N-A. And her website is nirvana.com, N-U-U-R-V-A-N-A. So Deganit, I'm so excited you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. This is so fun.
Yes. Deganit and I are super close friends, and she is one of the very, very few readers and healers with whom I do trades. I'm very picky about my energy.
I feel just the same about you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Deganit's the real deal. And, I love that when we get to talk, we really get to talk about what it's like to kind of be on the front lines with people, helping and holding space for them to have discoveries about their health. So I'd love to hear some of the things you've learned through your years of facilitating healing for other people. Because I mean, it's really nice that we can share that kind of information with each other too.
Oh, it's so great.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it so much. I love it because it's the depth of life. Like every conversation with us is an existential one. I know. And the first thing that I thought of when you asked is impermanence. Change is the only constant, and it's amazing to witness people's growth, people's transformations. It's amazing. Like, I've had clients for like decades, and watching them get out of like toxic, abusive relationships and now married with kids and like killing in professions, and to see them go, to see all these success stories has been truly remarkable and reminds me of the human spirit. It also just keeps reminding me that change is the only constant. So when people are in a rough place, I don't really feel that bad for them anymore. Like, I don't really have as much pity. I always have empathy, obviously, but I know it's temporary, even if they don't know it. And so it's made my life that much easier for when I'm in a rough spot, or for when I'm frustrated, or when things aren't going my way. I'm like, well, this is going to pass,
Right. It's so interesting because I was just having that conversation with my boyfriend last night. That exact conversation about, the impermanence. And I agree that is one of the things that we get to see as intuitives who I've been working with people for 19 years. You've probably been, I think you're a little younger than me, but you look like a, youthful, beautiful.
Thank you. As you look 18.
Thank you.
I've been doing this since 2006. I don't know how long that is.
So that's 14 years, right? So pretty long. Yeah, pretty long time. I mean, we've been doing our work for a while, and I agree. Change is the only constant in the universe, really. And I think part of the gift of the work that I do, and I think probably what you're getting at, is we do get to see people experience these hardships and these challenges and come out of them.
Yes.
And the resiliency of the human spirit, which we're seeing now globally with what's going on, the way that people are coming together and have come together and are rising back up, rebuilding, creating new patterns based upon new information received.
Right.
And that's what we do. It's healing.
It's remarkable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of amazing, actually.
It's so amazing. It just reminds me of how I feel like I know Tupac wrote a poem about it, like the rose that grew out of concrete.
Yes, that's right.
But it's just nature grows, and we are nature becoming aware of itself. So we're just going to grow and thrive. We can regardless of environment. But once we do grow and thrive, we tend to place ourselves in environments that nourish and nurture that.
Yes.
So it's just cool. It's really cool.
It is really cool. And it's really, I always feel it's such an honor to witness people's journeys.
It's so intimate. Yeah.
And when you teach too, I bet you find the same thing.
It's amazing. I mean, we did our event together, and in 90 minutes, how much shift is possible. People come in looking like a certain way, and then they leave and they're all bright-eyed, and their shoulders drop, and they've just released some childhood wounds, and they're unified with they're aligned with their spirit and their passion. It's amazing that in such little time, so much magic can happen that you can carry with you indefinitely if you want.
I agree. And I think we see that. I've taught shamanism for 19 years. 19 years of hearing people's shamanic journeys into alternate reality. And what happens when they meet their spirit guides? What happens when they learn they can heal themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an honor, isn't it?
It really is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and Deganit and I were talking before we, started the broadcast, and we were just kind of checking in because we're friends, and I said, boy, I'm tired. I'm tired because it's been a busy week, and we've both been getting to be present and hold space for people as they really basically heal themselves. That's how I think of it.
Same. We're conduits, right? So yeah, I tell people I just watch psychic TV, but the information on the TV screen is from their spirit, their aura, you know? So I'm just translating you back to you. You're doing all the work. I'm just telling you what you're doing. Yeah.
I always say I'm just a messenger.
Yes, exactly.
That's how I say it. I'm just a messenger, especially if their guides are tell them this, and this. I'm like, I'm just the messenger, but here's what they're saying.
But isn't it interesting? Doesn't your voice or tone change with different clients? With some, it's I almost want to hug them, and it's soft and sweet and gentle and just say a little bit. And then with others, it's fucking write this down right now. You need to do that. Like,
yes.
it's like militant and aggressive. And it's like, okay.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. That's so true. And it's a reflection of their guides, their higher selves, perhaps their style, their guides knowing the style to which they're going to respond the most. Who knows? That's why I say I'm a messenger. Like, what way do people's guides want to connect?
Right.
Who knows?
And it's always a mystery for us too, which is so fun. Like, it's not like we go into the session like, oh, I know exactly how this is going to go. We're on like the same exact.
No, we never know.
Very loud motorcycle inside.
Is that a spiritual or motorcycle rally? I think they do that on the handlebars, do they?
Right.
I think so. I've never ridden a motorcycle. I don't know. I've never driven a motorcycle, I should say. I've ridden on one a couple times.
I want to get my license, actually.
Ooh. You'd be like a badass biker chick. Yeah.
I love it. I used to have a convertible, and I just loved it. Like, just the wind and the sun, and it just felt like freedom. And so I feel like a motorcycle would be the next best thing.
My gosh, that'd be cool. I'll go on that with you. That would be really fun. That would be like cool. I'll probably have you drive. I do have to admit, jet ski, snowmobile, I prefer to drive. ATV, I prefer to drive. So maybe I would prefer to drive a motorcycle.
Okay.
I don't know.
ATV, I do not prefer to drive.
Love.
So you can drive that one.
I'll drive the ATV. You drive the motorcycle. I like the ATV because it's 4 wheels. So it's like stability. The motorcycle, it could tip. That makes me nervous.
Right. You would think I'd feel more secure in an ATV, but.
Yeah. Jet ski, there's water, fine. Snowmobile, the ski thingies are pretty stable. Okay.
Right.
When I was 16, I had my boyfriend came over, and I grew up in New England, so we had snowmobiles, and my brother let us my brother was younger, but he was like in charge of the snowmobiles. He let us take the snowmobile out. I let my boyfriend drive. I was just, doing what I knew. Yeah. He goes around the corner too fast. I fall off the back.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not going on a snowmobile with any but my dad or my brother or myself again, period.
Right.
Unless I've seen their skills. Certain uncles, certain cousins, fine. I was like, I should have been driving that thing.
Right. You really should have.
Lesson 1, and don't give your power to a man. Learned at a young age.
Or to anyone else, for that matter.
Yes. Anyone. Exactly. Drive your own snowmobile.
Readings. I think that's why I love, making it very clear to others that I am a messenger, because I don't know if you've noticed. I mean, when people are vulnerable, they're just looking for so much help, and I think they want to give their power away. Kind of like, I got myself into this mess. I obviously don't know how to get myself out of it. Please take my power. Like, some people do come in, like, heal me, fix me, tell me what to do. So that's also why I'm so mindful with the language and giving it back to them and being like, I don't want your power, please. Yes,
this is your responsibility.
Yeah.
And I usually say that too, like, what you choose to do after the session is, in your hands. Exactly. And I think people come, I think we all feel that way sometimes, and people come to that space of wanting, in some ways wanting to give their power away because they're wanting to feel taken care of. And it's going back to, a childhood need or a childhood desire, which perhaps comes back around to wanting to feel taken care of by the universe, by life. And to take ownership of that can be a little bit scary, because it's a responsibility to really say, wow, the buck really does stop with me.
Right.
That I am the architect of my reality, whether it's physically or energetically, in the way it outpictures. Not, I'm the victim and this happened to me. Instead, I drew this to me, and I'm going to, take the reins and try to manifest what I desire.
Right. I drew it to me for a reason. Like, I needed this lesson.
Yeah.
It has the potential to really benefit me.
For sure.
Yeah.
And if we think of that, from a global standpoint, what we've been dealing with as a global community these last months, there's a lot that we could all learn. We're all learning from that. I'm sure you're looking at the spiritual ramifications for yourself. I know I am, and clients are coming in with that question as well.
Right. I think we're all being asked to rise. I think we're, getting a little bit more efficient, getting a little bit more conscious, getting more global, more aware that we are truly interdependent and all in this together. Especially like living in New York, it's so weird because there's 8.5 million of us, right? And we all live in little shoe boxes. So we're competing for space. Like we have no personal space. So when we are cramped in a subway where it's like your each of my shoulders is touching somebody else, but you're looking down, like you're not connecting with the community because we have no space, right? And I lost myself a little bit here, but it's interesting because there's such a huge population, such a space, and yet not always is there connection. Is there community, and like I know I felt super lonely my first year in New York, and I've heard that that's a common thing where you're like surrounded by all these people and feeling lonely. It's so strange. It's so artificial to me. Like it's so, I don't think we're meant, I mean, I know, historically we have always lived in villages and it's taken a village to not just raise a child, but just to exist,
Absolutely.
And we've lost that. And there's now an app for everything. So if I were to want to never leave my tiny little shoebox apartment in New York, I could just stay there forever and pretend like this app magically created food and like it did come from a farmer somewhere and like it has like a million hands to get to me. There's such a disconnect from how interdependent we truly are, and I feel like this time is bringing us back to we're all in this together. And for you to eat is dependent on so many individuals.
Right.
So many individuals. Yeah.
It's so true. And the call that has happened in the past months for physical distancing and that whole thing, that's an invitation to care enough about other people to change your life. And it's been really, I think it's, and taking out the judgment of good, bad, if people are doing things well or not well, there's really, to me, there's really no judgment. I mean, there's moral implications in society, but from a higher spiritual perspective, I don't really think there's a ton of judgment. It's more like, look at the different experiences people are having with this coming into their consciousness, with this coming into humanity's consciousness. How are different people reacting? How is it making different people feel? What's coming up ultimately to clear, whether from, a shadow side or from a space of how to be more conscious and interconnected. And perhaps that's what's coming out of this experience. One of the things that's coming out of this experience for all of us.
It's so beautiful. And I do think you're absolutely right. What I've witnessed is some people are facing some deep fears of, we were talking about impermanence, and some people haven't thought, I mean, you and I talk to dead people all day, so we know we're dying. We are very aware that death is something for all of us, and it's just a transition. But people, have lived their whole lives not even thinking I'm going to die one day, and my parents are going to die one day. We're all dying. And so they're facing these fears of like, oh my gosh. And then I think we've also seen the flip side of that. So much altruism and so much connection. So much. Like there's so much good that's happening right now.
There's a lot of good happening. I get goosebumps when you say that. I mean, And that's one of the things that I felt early on in this process, was that we would see 10, 20 years from now, we would look back and see this as a demarcation point
Yeah.
where things shifted. I don't necessarily think we're going to see that right away now, but I think when we look back, this is the precipitant of a global shift.
Absolutely.
And it might be subtle. We'll see. We'll look back in 10 years and see what we think.
I was journaling about it this morning. I have a lot of cancer survivors as clients, and people that are terminally ill as clients. But the survivors specifically will say, so, I mean, this is, again, plenty of years post the diagnosis and the treatment and everything like that. So they've been healthy for quite a while. Yeah. And they will say, cancer saved my life. 100% of them have said, cancer saved my life.
Wow.
And I was working all the time. I never saw my family. Sorry, my dog's being
Bentley. Bentley needs something.
He needs attention always. Yeah, but since the treatment, since they got their health back, like, they get fresh air, they meditate, they're eating organic, like, they have been taking care of themselves. They've been, living in alignment with their values that they thought they were in alignment with, but they weren't, but their schedule didn't reflect it. And like, they are spending time with family, they are traveling, like, they are, like, they're living their best lives thanks to it. So that's what I'm hoping for the entire collective, is that we all
I think that's happening too. I mean, people are having to be home with kids. People with children, they're home with kids. They're working from home. They're seeing, how is division of labor in the household if everybody's home. They're spending time together. They have to. They're playing board games. They're cooking. We can't go out to eat. A lot of the distractions have been removed. So it's really what's in your home, Who's in your home? What's in your home? And what do you do? Whether it's your family or your spirit guides or combination of the two or something else.
Yeah. Yeah. For whatever reason, that reminded me of this meme that I saw that was like, okay, I've cleaned out all my closets and reorganized all my drawers. I need something else to do before I start confronting my feelings, or like before I'm left to my feelings or something.
Yes. You can't escape them, especially now, with the collective keyed up and all this uncertainty. You can't escape them.
And why would you? Like, why would you want to oppose nature? Like, we've been opposing nature, and that's why we're here.
Well, that's what a lot of people do, and I mean, even I do sometimes. How do we escape our feelings? We go to the gym. We go, some people go clubbing. We go out.
Yeah.
We can't.
It's kind of cool.
Just you, yourself, and you, and whoever lives in your house,
Right?
Yeah.
Things are getting real.
Things are getting real fast. So on the podcast, we kind of wrap it up where I ask you a particular question I ask everybody. And so I want to ask you the question, which is, if you could tell your 16-year-old self one thing from the future, what would it be?
I think, so the first thing that I got was like self-confidence and don't care about social norms, and not just what other people would think, but just norms. And, like not conservative, traditional.
Traditional.
Yeah, just not to worry so much about following like social norms and tradition and like everything that was handed to me, but just to kind of like question authority a little bit more, question everything a little bit more, and choose myself and be a little bit more independent thinking,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's all do that. I'm not big into social norms and traditional stuff. I don't know about you. I get a little bored with such things.
Staying them too long, we're not evolving, right?
Yeah. I mean, we gotta play the game of society and whatnot, but otherwise, sometimes it's more fun to go off the beaten path. Case in point, 2 days ago, I went off the beaten path, and had a close encounter with a panther.
No way.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Oh my God.
Like crouched on this log, and we looked at each other's faces. Her eyes were so big. We looked at each other's eyes. We looked at each other's face. I really saw her face. She was looking at my face. Like we were looking at each other's faces. She's like 8 feet away for a while. And then some other people came and she left. But it was like very awesome. So
were you
why stay on the path? Go on.
Why? There's no panthers there.
A lot of cool stuff if you go off the path.
Wait, were you scared at all?
No.
You were talking to her.
No, I was walking around talking to these water hemlock plants and doing my little fairy thing, and there she was. And she looked at me and her eyes were so big, and I looked at her, and I don't know. Her face was so smooth. Like the fur on her face was so smooth. She was like crouched kind of so her legs were up. The fur on her body was so smooth. She was really clean. Like maybe she just cleaned herself or something. Because cats I think they lick and stuff. No, I wasn't scared. I felt like really good, like very peaceful. And then after I felt like elated.
Yes.
I mean, that was like I love nature sightings. I'm big into that. That was a good one. That was a good one.
That's amazing. I love that. I love it.
Fun. Yes. Well, thank you for being on Happily Holistic with Amy Lee Mercury. And please go to nirvana.com. Follow Deganit on Instagram. She's amazing. You'll see me commenting all the time and liking everything she does.
Thank you.
And you also offer a lot of cool stuff in your newsletter. You offer a lot of cool stuff on your Instagram story. So
try and add value and try and give helpful tips and meditations and all of that.
I know you've been giving some awesome meditations too. So everybody have a wonderful day. Deganit, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Amy. This was so fun.
Yay, you're amazing. Just like a little freewheeling chat like we usually have.
Yep, I love it.
Life and spirit.
Everything in between.
And everything in between. Maybe that should be the tagline for the podcast, Happily Holistic, where we talk about life and spirit and everything in between.
Right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right. Lots of love, audience. Thank you for listening. Kiss, kiss, hug, hug. Thanks for listening to Happily Holistic with me, Amy Lee Mercury. You can find out more about the show on amyleemercury.com on the podcast page. Please stop by your favorite social platform and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear how you liked today's show and what topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Amy Lee Mercury. Until next time, stay happily holistic.